Hello everybody, my name is Hammock. Today I'd like to talk about the Chen patch, currently 7.37D I think, and generally my impressions of it and how it feels. So I'm just going to put on some background footage just so stuff going on. So this is the patch, point D, is after TI, where we've had the showing that in TI people were building auras and stuff, so they nerfed a bunch of the aura items. They nerfed arcane boots, which then indirectly nerfed greaves. They nerfed pipe, crimson guard, and solar crest, which were items that Chen would like to buy. But they also didn't really nerf Vlad's or drum, which in my opinion are just as strong. So I'm a little bit worried that like a lot of people are going to still be running auras in the form of drums and Vlads, and that's what I'm doing. And as a result, they're next on the chopping block for another nerf if people still aren't happy with auras as they currently exist. So before, when I was buying items on Chen, I would get Solar Crest, I would get Greaves, then Solar Crest, then Vlads, with generally arcane boots first in the Greaves, just since spamming arcane boots was like really strong. Now my build is a little bit different. I'm just gonna show my guide that I use for myself. First of all, I use the Hellbear facet instead of the Satyr. Satyr's nice for like the mid lane cheese and stuff, but I like the Hellbear for overall consistency for later on into the game, just because the Satyr Tormentor isn't really great to have, but the Hellbear is really great because at least the red Hellbear, when it dies, it gives a boost to 60% base damage, which is really good. Like, even though the creeps die pretty quickly, you can pretty much have this next to your carry, and in the team fight it's just gonna die, and then your carry suddenly gets like about 60% boost in damage. Can't really say unless I see the carry in the actual position, but yeah, this is my build right now. I'm also taking Divine Favor at level 1. This is something that I saw Sequel talk about, and basically this is just to help with trading, applying Divine Favor to myself or an ally, and then eating tangos to get a little bit of heal amplification and armor. Also do some shenanigans where I send my convert creep to go block a camp on the other side of the map if I'm playing 4, like go block the safe lane camp, or send it over to try and deny like a bounty rune if we're like having like a bit of a mosh pit in the lane, and then I can use Divine Favor to TP the creep back to me. And then I take Penitence at level 4 for trading. Obviously, if you're in a lane where it would benefit from having like Penitence, like, I don't know, maybe a Huskar lane in this instance, you can definitely still take Penitence. I don't think Divine Favor overwrites it. I just think it's like an option. Do you want to take Divine Favor? Do you want to take Penitence? It's not like one either way is like the best. Another interesting thing is on my build is I do not take the level 10 and 15 talents until like basically right at the end of the game. Instead, in between that time, like in the gap here, I'm just taking stats because it's more value. These talents aren't particularly like relevant. So the build I usually go is I get Wand, I go Vlads, I get another Bassi after I finish Vlads, because that way I have like the Bassi, is the Basilius aura, which provides mana regen, and since Arcane Boots was nerfed, people have less mana, but with this you can have 2 separate auras, because, sorry, I'm mixing up my words. Vladimir's aura is a unique aura to Basilius aura, therefore if I buy another Bassi after finishing Vlad's, these both stack and I get more mana regen. It also applies to my creeps too, since some creeps had their mana nerfed, like the Harpy Stormcrafter for instance. Then I get Drum, and then after getting Drum I also get another Windlace, so that later on I can build it into a Boots of Bearing. And then if the game's going well, I'll then go into an Axe Scepter, or I'll finish Boots of Bearing and then get an Axe Scepter. And the reason I'm getting Axe Scepter is because most of the time, at least for a long time, Axe Scepter's kind of been like a really excessive luxury item for Chen. This pudge is going to keep hooking me every game for the whole game. This is rough. Axe Scepter's been a bit of a luxury item that you're like, well, I guess I'm only going to get this if I get it from a Roshan and no one else wants to get it, or if we've got like Alchemist on my team like later on to the game, you know, like it's not really going to come up. But it has gotten quite a few positive changes over time. It's being slowly buffed more and more, and now I'm trying it out since it's starting to feel a lot better, and I actually quite like it. It's still probably not worth rushing, but it's a pretty good third item in my opinion after Vlad's and Drum. Now you probably forego this if you're like, we really need a pipe or something like that, and I'd say most cases pro players probably aren't going to be picking up the Acceptor, but I'm having a lot of fun buying it. So if you're a Chen player, I recommend giving it a try. It feels kind of cool. And the reason why I think it's gone a little bit better is not only has it been buffed in the sense that it also applies Divine Favor like everywhere, so everyone gets 6 extra health regen at like 40 minutes to the game. That feels impactful. It's more so that being able to sacrifice one of your creeps to then apply single target martyrdom is quite cool, because in situations where, one, we're pushing, if I'm using, say, the Hellbear convert, which as you can see when it dies, it applies a death throw effect, I can put the tomato, the red bear, next to a teammate, sacrifice that tomato onto an ally across the map to heal them, and in the process I'm also damage amping the ally that the tomato was next to, which is quite cool. There's also situations where either a teammate is diving and like they just go in for kills, but they're like too deep for me to reasonably go about dying if I follow, so I can just sacrifice some creeps to like heal them. This does waste quite a bit of your time overall, so it's not worth like every single case to use up all your creeps, especially if you've got some really good creeps in your repertoire. But I find also if I'm in a team fight, I die, some of my creeps are dying, and they could potentially clear out easy. It's like, wow, might as well sacrifice them and get some heals out of it, and it's been quite worth it. There's also some potential use case of using the Acceptor benefit to apply the damage effect, because what you can also do is apply the Hand of God's level as damage, which the overall damage at level 3 and healing would be 400 plus the damage over time, but then that also takes into account damage resistance, and it doesn't state it in here, but I tested, but the damage is magical, so it has to go through the, like, I think base 30% magic resistance, so it's not a whole lot, especially for that level and especially for the resources that you spend. I was also testing out some things to see if, like, if you took the Troll Summoner, for instance, and summoned skeletons, could you use Martyrdom on the skeletons? You can't. And if you claim a Mud Golem, and if that Mud Golem splits and dies, can you sacrifice the Mud Golem, the small Mud Golems? You cannot, sadly. Otherwise, in the other case of that, I would probably take the Troll Summoner facet, because I do like running that one for fun, but it doesn't feel as strong as the Hellbear. But if I could sacrifice each of those skeletons with Martyrdom, heck yeah, I would run that way more. That sounds really cool. But no, you can't use both those. Technically, I was testing to see if you could, like, then, if you could use Holy Persuasion on the Shard Golems again, you could then sacrifice it. I think it has to be Holy Persuaded, but you can't do it to the Shard Golems because they're already under your control. Unless you have like a fight with an Enchantress who's like suddenly taken your creep and now you can retake it. That situation's probably not going to come up. So I've got like my change of skills. I don't really take the talents, the 10, 15. I take the I take the Hand of God reduction and either the healing, which also bumps up the Acceptor, or the Strong Dispel, which I tend to take in more cases because I'm going up against more and more things that need strong dispelling. And that's another good use case for the Acceptor, is that if you're in a situation where you're out of range and one of your allies gets your Hand of God is on cooldown, one of your allies gets, like, let's say reverse RP'd, you can sacrifice one of your creeps to Hand of God them, which will immediately strong dispel it, which is pretty cool. It gives more use cases to the Acceptor. Again, it's probably not something I'd imagine the pros are going to take, but I'm having a lot of fun getting as a third item. I imagine most people will probably still relegate it to like a 4th, 6th item, or like a once in the every 60-minute game luxury item slot. I don't think Acceptor is going to necessarily be overwhelmingly strong. Rare Ghost Fell Spirit usage, the little ghosty signs. I really like that creep. Maybe I should do a creep tier list at one point, because there's a couple creeps that I really like to use that like aren't really conventional, like the Fell Spirit or the like Break Kobold. Sorry, I'm just lost in this fight. I can't remember if I win it or not. It's a Huskar. We probably win. Yeah, we win. So I also want to go over potential things that I'd like to see that Chen gets as a benefit, and that would be like future buffs or changes, or if Chen gets nerfed, then a counterbalance buff type thing. Just, you know, a Christmas list. So since they added the converts to Chen, like all these ones that let you choose whichever creep you want to have as a summon, I would love to have a Wild Wing convert facet. So I get the small bird that can do the tornado that like goes towards people, applies an attack, slow damage over time, whatever. And then when you get to like level 3 in the convert, then you get the Wild Wing Ripper that has the like cool vector targeted 4-star thing, which is very cool. I really like having that bird. Anytime I see that bird on the map, I try to get it in my group. And if that was a facet available, I would probably take that over the Hellbear, because the armor aura is good and the vector targeting ability is good. I think it would be very strong, and it would probably be the best facet. To a degree that I imagine that's the reason why they probably haven't added it as one. But hey, if they decide they're gonna kill Vlads and they're gonna kill Drum because people still don't like auras, maybe they can give me this little facet as like a counterbalance, just to not completely put Chen in the grave. I'd also like the ability to send creeps back to base. Be able to send heroes back to the base would also be kind of cool, but I can see why they would be hesitant to do that again because of Fountain Hook. Maybe there's something else, not Pudge related, but new hero related, that could break with regards to this. Or like, or just going forward, it probably just adds more headache. But being able to send creeps back to base would be very nice, because it's like some instances where I've just had a fight and all my creeps are hurt, and I could Hand of God to heal them, but I really just want to save that for my teammates, you know. So it'd be nice to be like, all right, mass send these guys back to base, and then use Divine Favor to bring them back to me after they've healed. It would also help with like sending creeps on a mission to like sort of push lanes, like a Black Dragon to like push a wave, or a Dark Troll Summoner, and then you can send them back to base and then regen and then send them back to you. Skillfully dodged. I would like that ability. I don't know how they would do it in terms of teleporting like allies to base. I imagine it would probably be something applied to Holy Persuasion as opposed to Divine Favor. Otherwise it could muddle with some of the things with Divine Favor. But that's a thing I would like. I'd also like it if the persuaded creeps were more durable. I know they nerfed that intentionally. Like the minimum health thing was like removed, and now like they're all very squishy. But it feels like the creeps are a little bit too squishy. There's a lot of soft counters for Chen. There's obviously the hard counters people immediately think of, like Doom and Enchantress. But there's also a lot of soft counters. Marana and Pudge can insta-kill creeps. Crystal Maiden's W can basically instant-kill creeps. Ogre Magi can buy Midas, multicast, and multicast Midas all of your creeps. That's another thing. If you're not gonna buff the durability of creeps in general and they're in a good state, just, you know, make it so Midas doesn't work on Chen's creeps. It just feels a little bit insulting when you spend all this time grabbing a bunch of creeps and then they just use Midas on it. It's kind of blare that the item Midas is kind of an item counter to Chen. It's kind of silly. And also, I know there used to be a 25 talent that added charges, and also you could control 3 extra units on Chen. Not necessarily asking for the extra units, that sounds a bit crazy, but since I'm not content right now with his 10 and 15 talents, maybe one of the talents, maybe like level 15 talent, could be to make it so Holy Persuasion has 3 charges. Just because that would help fix a lot of the downtime where you are, where you have a team fight, you die, you lose all your creeps, maybe you sacrifice them all, and then your team's like, all right, we've respawned, let's go push, and as a Chen you're like, wait, I need to spend a good 2 minutes in the jungle finding the right creeps again, get my army reset, and then go. But if I had like 4 charges of Holy Persuasion, I could just like go into the jungle, be like bam, 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 all right, I'm set, and then get ready to go back. It helps get rid of that like refractory period, for lack of a better word, like the downtime that you're wasted, that as a macro hero you should be applying pressure to the map, but you're sadly not. You're kind of getting griefed by your own ability. So that would be a nice quality of life feature as like a talent replacement. I'm just a little bit enraptured in this constant feeding fest. I love pubs. Anyway, that's mostly what I wanted to go over. I think this patch overall feels pretty okay for Chen. Chen doesn't feel like they're in necessarily strong spot, but I imagine pro players are going to always draft Chen anyway, no matter what state they're in, just because they bring a lot of extra value to a team, especially if they're playing like early tempo. Like, people can be buying auras, you can have an underlord who's buying auras, and then Chen is just bringing free auras to the table in the form of the creeps. So if you're playing quickly, you're going to want a Chen, and you're probably going to draft accordingly. But if you're a crazy person like me who plays Chen like 99% of their pub games, you're going to feel the difference. It feels a little bit weaker, but especially since I've been having fun with Acceptor, I think it still feels good, and I recommend that you still give it a try. I think Chen feels pretty great. So I don't know how to wrap up this video. Bye!